Happy Wednesday, and we have done it. We have made it to the 100th episode of Red Sox Now, and I thank all of you guys and gals, boys and girls, for watching. We really appreciate it. It's a Wednesday edition. It's presented by FanArch here on YouTube. I'm Mike Antonellis. I'm one of the radio and TV broadcasters for the Worcester Red Sox. I know I say that every show, but we have a lot of people hopping in for the first time, and we appreciate all of you. But before we go any further, you know the drill. If you could subscribe, leave your comments. We read the comments on every day now. Every day we do 3 comments. Maybe we'll do more. Try to get the first-time comments. I can tell, and we get some people that comment all the time, which is fantastic. I'll try to get to all of those during the day. And again, also, if you see the Red Sox Now icon responding, we've got other people too that will respond to you as well. So if I don't, it's not personal. Things happen. Last night I was with the Woo Sox, and Jostison Garcia, the password, had 5 RBIs. I was on the call for a bases clearing double, and then he had a 2-run homer in the 8th inning. Absolute smash to left center field. Had a chance to talk with Connolly early and David Sandlin. They were pranked by their manager, Chad Epperson, who told them they were traded to Worcester, and it took them a little bit. So good guys. They're excited. They're going to pitch, we believe, this weekend. Who knows? It's not surprising that they're not in the rotation till the weekend, because who knows what can happen. So a lot of cool stuff. Christian Campbell had another monster home run, by the way. He's got a 9-game hit streak. I don't do the road games, and I can tell you from seeing him from the last time to now, he's completely different. It looks really good at first base. Hit a ball to right center, 400 feet. That's his thing, man. That's his thing. I know there's this thing about he needs to pull the ball more. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He hit a ball 400 feet to right center field with absolute smash. You want guys going to right center, and he has got quite the swing and good stuff to see. But let's get to the Red Sox. The Woo Sox did win a good one, but so did the Red Sox. The offense comes to life. Now, listen, I get it. I get how fans get. I get how all of you get. But Twitter, X, whatever you call it, man, a lot of you were really low after the loss on Monday. Try to be a little more in the middle. Like, come on. And Will and Mike Monaco talked about it. It was a flight from hell, I guess, on Sunday. I didn't realize how bad their flight was. That's why Whitlock was sick. But we got to try to be a little more even. Losing like they did on Monday. I mean, you had an hour and a half rain delay, but let's not try to get so low and just say, oh, everybody stinks now, because a lot of the players that people were ripping on, I mean, they came back to life. And I get it. They've been inconsistent, but it's going to happen, and it happens everywhere. This league's not really as consistent. You got to look at overall team batting averages. If you're now the strikeouts, I get. I totally understand that. But there's one team hitting over 257 this year. That's it. And the Red Sox are, 4, 5, 6. They're 9th in the big leagues in batting average. So, and the strikeouts are high. Yep, we know that. They're 3rd. But my point is that a lot of teams are up and down offensively. It's just the way it is now. I think the balanced schedule too, but they rebounded nicely last night. Story with 3 RBIs, a home run. I mean, Duran had another nice game. His 10th home run. I think they got something working. I was wrong, and I said I wasn't sure if I liked Anthony leading off, but I think Cora wants him getting that extra at-bat. And it worked a couple nights ago. Get as many at-bats for him. He had that RBI hit that could have won you the game off Duran. But Anthony knocked in the first run. Duran, Story, Abreu. I mean, everyone had hits pretty much with the exception of David Hamilton, who played second base to give Rafaela a chance to play his normal position where they want him in center, and he had a triple as well. But good game for the Red Sox. I think they didn't want to use Chapman, but good for Cora. Cora's making hard decisions now. And one thing that, I forgot to get to yesterday, I know a lot of people were mad about him taking Fitz out after 4 innings, but it didn't work. And you almost won that game, but you should like that your manager is making the tough decisions. He wasn't going to risk any more. Fitz's stuff was not good, and he had He didn't have a full bullpen, I get it. But would you want us to send him back out in the fifth and have him blow up? No, you're out. He's managing games like these are playoff games. It's not going to work sometimes. But I want my manager doing that, being aggressive, and that's what he did. And he did that last night. Alcala again. And honestly, I know that a lot of us have liked his stats. I've never really been in love with Alcala, because they have not used him. They kind of hit him, and now they're using him 4 times in a row. That wasn't really high leverage, but later than they usually, and he just hasn't looked the same guy. And I don't know if he's going to survive this down the road, because I get he throws hard and everything, but you got to have more reliable guys, and you can't have pitchers you're afraid to use. They're not really afraid to use a lot of these guys late with Wilson, Whitlock, Bernardino, and Weissert. But, Alcala being ineffective there made you bring on Chapman, which I think in the perfect world, you'd like Chapman to rest last night and today. But he was able to get the save. Giolito was good. And, that's the second slide of the day. Is he quietly having a great year? Expectations. What were the expectations for Giolito? Near a top of the rotation guy? No, not for me. I mean, his career, he's not, he had a couple of okay seasons with the White Sox, but I still look at him as a 4, even a 5. But he has pitched like a 3, or even a 2 at times. A 7-2 record, a 3.80 ERA. He had the first couple of months, he had some bad starts. Texas and Atlanta gave up 6 runs, and he had that 7-run outing against the Angels. But if you look at his game log from June 10th on, he's been pretty good. And he's giving you innings, which we hate. We hate that phrase. But don't we see why you won the game that Walker Buehler started a couple of days ago, but he gave you, 4 innings, and that hurt you on Monday. And Fitz only gave you 4. That rolls together. Does 5 or 6 innings make that much of a difference? Oh, yeah. You can't have starters go 4 innings back-to-back, which you had. And that really cost you the game Monday. I'm serious. I believe that. If Buehler goes 5 or 6 Sunday, your bullpen's looking a lot different on Monday. But you can't have guys continue to go 4 innings. And you can get on Cora and say, well, Cora should have left Fitz in. Okay. But to me, when a guy's ineffective and doesn't have good stuff, I don't care what the pitch count is. Doesn't matter. Get him out. You're trying to win. That's the bottom line. You're trying to win. And I'm okay with that. But I think Giolito has done a really good job. Considering the injury, missed the first month, he has gotten better. And a good outing last night. 6 innings, 5 hits, just 1 run, hit a batter, walked 2, and struck out 5. How about that Brooks Lee, man? Wow. He had a homer from each side of the plate. Carlos Correa got hurt. He knocked in 5 runs, but Giolito was good, and good to see Whitlock back. I guess Whitlock was really sick from that plane ride. So I want the Red Sox to be aggressive. My thoughts at first was, do these teams really want to trade these guys? We don't know this. I think a lot of stuff is they throw out feelers to see who's interested, and then they make those deals in the offseason. This happens a lot. It happened with Chris Sale. I remember a scout telling me, I remember exactly where I was. I was in Reading, Pennsylvania, White Sox scout. This was when Moncada and Benintendi were there. And there was a lot of buzz. And we're watching batting practice and after, and I said, well, is something going to happen? I just asked him. He goes, no, it'll happen in the offseason. I said, really? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, what's all this, hoopla going on right now? He's like, that's just part of it. That's what we, that's part of the game. So you put feelers out, which was what the White Sox did with Sale. They tried to rob the Sox. They wanted Benintendi and Moncada at the deadline. They went for other teams, and then they just settled in the offseason. So that's what a lot of teams do, because this is how you find interest in players. Then you go in the offseason, you already know. So the White Sox already knew the Red Sox wanted Crochet, and they were hard on Crochet. I'm sure other teams might have been, but the fact that they wanted Anthony and Meyer last deadline, that they had communications last deadline. So we don't know a lot of things, but I am okay with them being aggressive and giving up prospects that a lot of you don't. A lot of the trade proposals are ones that don't make you uncomfortable. But you just can't be that way as an executive. If you had Ryan on this team, Joe Ryan, and you go in a playoff series with Crochet, Ryan, Bayo as your first three starters, you have to look at it as if you get in the playoffs. It's completely different. You have Crochet twice. You have a lockdown Hall of Fame closer. You could add to the bullpen. In short series, you've shown the ability to win those 3-1, 4-2 games because you've had a really good bullpen this year. Bullpen is way better than last year. And you add another starter like Joe Ryan to the mix who's controllable for 2 more years. Why would you be afraid to give up a pitching prospect? Who cares if that prospect ends up really good? Joe Ryan is really good right now. And you have 2 more years of control, and he's a number 2. We don't have to say he's an ace with the Twins, but he's your number 2. You have to be okay giving up Peyton Tolley. This guy has only pitched 5 games in Double-A, and I'm not saying he won't be good, but you can't be afraid to be aggressive. You can't, because you can't hold on to all these guys. David Sandlin's Rule 5 eligible. You can't keep everybody. You have to protect them at some point. That's how the Yankees lost Garrett Whitlock. They decided he was not 40-man worthy. I'm not saying that was wrong because they had a lot of guys, but it's going to happen. You're going to lose guys that end up going other places. Nobody cared about Quinn Priester. Now they do, but that was a guy in AAA. He was on your 40-man. You got a lot for him, but he wasn't even on anyone's radar, and he's got, 10 wins? But you can't be afraid to go for it at this point, because I think this team is good enough to make some noise in the playoffs to go further. And Jim Bowden, we're going to read his tweet. The Red Sox, Blue Jays, Phillies, and Mariners are speed dialing the Twins at an annoying level about Joe Ryan, and they should. And I think Breslow is that kind of guy. But I'm not afraid who they give up to make the team even better. Isn't that what you want? So you have, and we've talked about this, you have to ask yourself a question. You can't be mad if they don't go big or don't add if you don't want them to give up anything. And don't give me the Vaughn Grissom, Yoshida, Garcia in a lower level for Joe Ryan. That's not going to work. It's just not. And again, the Twins might say no to all these teams. We're just saying, wow, look at how valuable this guy is. But I am okay doing something uncomfortable. Sandy Alcantara had another good outing, but he wants to stay in Miami. That's what he's telling everyone. Ryan Hesley, a reliever, has said 90% chance that he's out of there. I'd take him too. But if you are going to be a playoff team and you go into a short series with Crochet, a number 2, Bayo, and Giolito, and that's pretty good, and add to the bullpen. I know we focus on the offense, but I'm telling you, short series, playoff series are completely different. Completely different. And that changes so much. So much. And I'm not afraid one bit. And I want the Red Sox to be aggressive this year. And I think they have the pieces to do it because you're going to lose him. David Sandlin's Rule 5 eligible. So if you don't put him on the 40-man, and the Yankees have been doing stuff like this for years, you got to trade the guys that are Rule 5 eligible if you don't believe in them. And you just had a great draft. You just drafted a bunch of pitchers. You got a ton of pitchers. But to me, a guy like Joe Ryan is more proven than those guys. We've heard about the Henry Owens before. That was a guy, no, can't trade. So be aggressive. Isn't that a cheer? All right, let's get to your wonderful Tuesday comments on the 100th episode. of Red Sox Now. At Matty Mull 29, there should be no prospect right now that is untouchable. Anthony and Meyer are both up. Meyer's hurt. Hopefully he's back soon, though. Everyone else is fair game. If you want a pitcher, you're likely going to need to give up a pitcher prospect or two. Yeah, you're probably going to have to give two. Yep, talking about the Rule 5 eligible. Campbell, Garcia, Sandlin, Early, Romero. There's no room in the current roster. But don't always think of that, because you can always make room for guys if you think they are a guy. Like, think about this. When Mookie was in the system, they created a position for him. You know, the thing was, there was a crowded infield when Mookie was in. I remember this in Portland. And they said, well, we'll just move. You know, Ben Cherington's like, well, we'll just move them. So if there was a guy like Justice and Garcia who they felt, you can't just say, well, there's no room in the outfield for years. If that guy was an elite player, and I'm not saying he's not, but if they felt, hey, this guy is the next right-handed batting Roman Anthony, they're not going to get rid of him. You can't just make moves based on that either. But with Garcia, yeah, you know. Also, you talked about Grissom at first base. They tried that. They tried him at third. He made another bad error last night. It was ruled a hit. He just dropped the pop-up. He's just not good defensively. It's why he's not in the big leagues. I get he hits, but it's still AAA. And I know a lot of people are clamoring about him, but they've tried a lot of things with him. Can't play first, can't play third. He's not a great shortstop, and he wasn't great at second base. And he can't run. So you can't have just a couple of things that you do right, because if you don't do those things right in the big leagues, you're not bringing anything. So, you know, we get upset with Abreu, Rafaela, and Story when they don't hit, but they bring elite defense every day. So they're able to do that. If you don't bring other things in the big leagues, you just can't play. It's just how it is. Whether it's fair or not, it's just, you know, unless you are a elite hitter like 360, 370. At Desjardins, 25-20, I like Anthony in the leadoff position. His 400 on base sets the table for Bregman once Anthony develops some power. I think he has. I'd be fine dropping him in the 2-hole for now. Leadoff is fine. Yeah, I mean, he showed it in Worcester, but I know what you mean. I think we're going to see more home runs. You know, I think they just want their best hitters right away. You know, Anthony and Bregman right out of the chute. Right out of the chute. And I get it. It's kind of a different philosophy nowadays, but I like it. And then Durant third, you know, a speedy guy. At Smoke Dog 19821, I think hitting third has taken a lot of pressure off Durant. He doesn't seem to be pressing, and Roman has been great. Yeah, I mean, hitting third is still a lot of pressure. That's your best hitter. But I think leading off a game, sometimes you have to be a little bit different, where you have to sometimes work. You know, you don't want to go up there real aggressive early. And Anthony won't either. Anthony's going to be, and we know how he takes a ton of pitches. But, yeah, there is something to it. And it's good that you can have your leadoff guy hit third. All right, thank you for watching today. We want the comments again. We'll read them on the show Thursday. The Red Sox play a day game today, which is pretty cool. The Red Sox and the Woo Sox. The Woo Sox play at 12. The Red Sox play at 1:10. Brian Bayo against Zebby Matthews. The Johan Duran hugs last night were fake. It was reported the Twins broadcasters were the first on it. They did it to just be boys and have fun with it. But it screwed everyone up. All right, thank you for watching another edition of Red Sox Now, presented by Fan Arch. Make sure to comment and subscribe to the channel. And we'll talk to you on Thursday.